Take a look at the room around you right now. You see walls, a ceiling, maybe a window looking out at a familiar street. You feel the weight of your phone in your hand or the chair beneath you. It all feels incredibly solid, predictable, and remarkably normal. But what if I told you that every single thing you are perceiving right now is a convenient hallucination designed by your brain to stop you from seeing the sheer, terrifying complexity of what's actually there? What if the universe isn't a collection of objects in space, but a shimmering web of infinite dimensions where time doesn't flow? Objects don't exist until you look at them, and your entire life is just one ripple in a cosmic ocean so vast it makes the word infinity feel small? There are books sitting on library shelves right now that don't just suggest these ideas, they prove them using the cold, hard logic of mathematics and physics. These aren't fantasy novels. They are the reports from the front lines of human knowledge, and they describe a reality so alien and so bizarre that it is almost more than the human mind can handle. Today, we are opening the pages of the most mind-shattering books ever written, the ones that peel back the wallpaper of the everyday to reveal a universe that is stranger than we can imagine, and perhaps stranger than we are allowed to know. We have to start with the book that turned the entire concept of reality into a disputed territory. The Case Against Reality by Donald Hoffman. Most of us grow up believing that our eyes are like little video cameras, recording a truthful version of the world. Hoffman, a cognitive scientist, uses evolutionary game theory to prove that this is statistically impossible. He argues that if our ancestors had seen the world as it truly is, they would have been too overwhelmed to survive. Imagine trying to drive a car, but instead of seeing a steering wheel and a road, you saw the billions of fluctuating quantum fields and subatomic particles that actually make up those objects. You'd crash in seconds. Evolution, therefore, gave us a user interface. Just like the colorful icons on your computer screen hide the complex circuitry and binary code underneath, our perception of space and time is just a desktop designed to help us navigate. Hoffman proves that the physical objects we see are just symbols for something much deeper and more mysterious. It's a book that makes you look at a simple coffee mug and realize you have absolutely no idea what is actually sitting on your table. It's a masterpiece of biological skepticism that suggests we are living in a sensory bubble, isolated from the true chaotic majesty of the cosmos. If that isn't enough to make you dizzy, let's talk about Biocentrism by Robert Lanza. Lanza is a world-renowned scientist who argues that our current understanding of the universe is backwards. We usually think that the universe started with a big bang, and eventually, life and consciousness emerged from the rubble. Lanza flips the script. He argues that life and consciousness are the fundamental building blocks of reality, and it is our minds that actually create the universe. Think about it. Without a conscious observer, color is just electromagnetic waves of different frequencies. Sound is just vibrations in the air. Heat is just the kinetic energy of atoms. None of these things have qualities until a mind perceives them. Lanza uses the famous double-slit experiment from quantum mechanics to show that particles literally do not choose a definite state until they are observed. This book claims that space and time are not things that exist out there. They are the tools our minds use to organize information. It suggests that the universe is a biocentric construction, and that without us, the entire show simply wouldn't exist. It's a perspective that puts humanity back at the center of the story, but in a way that is far more mysterious and scientifically grounded than anything the ancient Greeks ever imagined. But what if the universe isn't just a construction of our minds? What if it's a giant, self-correcting mathematical program? This brings us to Programming the Universe by Seth Lloyd. Lloyd is a professor at MIT and a pioneer in quantum computing, and his book argues that the universe is a quantum computer. He suggests that every single atom and every subatomic interaction is actually a bit of information being processed. When a star burns or a cell divides, the universe is busy calculating. If he's right, then the laws of physics are actually algorithms. This book makes the universe feel both incredibly structured and deeply uncanny. It suggests that there is a logic running beneath the surface of everything, and that matter is just the hardware used to run the software of existence. For scientists, this is a massive shift in thinking. It moves us away from a world of stuff and into a world of sequences. It asks the question, if the universe is a program, what is it trying to compute? And more importantly, can the program ever be hacked? Now, let's venture into the multi-layered reality described in The Hidden Reality by Brian Greene. Greene is one of the world's leading string theorists, And in this book, he explains that our universe might just be one of an infinite number of bubbles in a cosmic foam. He walks through 9 different versions of the multiverse theory, all supported by different branches of physics. Some versions suggest that there are alternate Earths just a few inches away from us, vibrating in a higher dimension that we can't perceive. Other versions suggest that because the universe is infinite, every possible arrangement of atoms must repeat itself eventually, meaning there is an identical version of you sitting in an identical room right now, somewhere trillions of light years away. This book takes the concept of uniqueness and shatters it. It proves that the stranger things we see in science fiction are actually the most conservative estimates of what the cosmos might look like. It's a book that expands the horizon of the possible to a point where the human ego simply cannot survive. Speaking of things the human mind can't handle, we have to talk about The Order of Time by Carlo Rovelli. We all feel like time is a universal river, flowing from the past into the future at a steady pace. Rovelli, a theoretical physicist, essentially takes a sledgehammer to that idea. He explains that time does not exist at the fundamental level of the universe. There is no now that is shared by the whole cosmos. Time flows at different speeds depending on where you are and how fast you are moving. Most shockingly, he argues that the flow of time is a perspective-based illusion caused by our inability to see the full thermodynamic state of the universe. In the basic equations of physics, there is no difference between the past and the future. This book makes you question the very sequence of your life. It suggests that our memories of yesterday and our plans for tomorrow are just local glitches in a 4-dimensional block where everything is happening all at once. It's a poetic, haunting, and deeply scientific investigation into the void where time used to be. If we want to understand the material side of this strangeness, we turn to Entangled Life by Merlin Sheldrake. While this is a book about fungi, it proves that intelligence and communication are far more alien than we ever realized. Sheldrake shows that mushrooms and their underground mycelial networks are essentially biological computers that have no brain, yet they can solve complex problems, share resources across entire forests, and manipulate the behavior of other animals. This book makes you realize that the individualism we prize so much as humans is a failure of imagination. Fungi prove that life is a collaborative and distributed process. The Wood Wide Web suggests that the Earth itself is a giant, thinking, feeling network. It forces a scientist to question where one organism ends and another begins. It's a book that makes the forest feel like a forbidden intelligence, a kingdom that has been running the planet for millions of years while we were still busy learning how to walk. Then there is the information theory of reality found in Gödel, Escher, Bach by Douglas Hofstadter. This is an enormous, playful, and incredibly deep book that explores how meaning arises from meaningless symbols. It centers on the work of Kurt Gödel, who proved that there are truths in mathematics that can never be proven. This means that logic itself has a limit. Hofstadter uses the music of Bach and the art of M.C. Escher to show how the universe is full of strange loops, systems that refer back to themselves to create something entirely new, like consciousness. This book makes scientists question the very tools of their trade. It suggests that we might never have a theory of everything because there will always be a logical hole that we can't fill. It's a book that celebrates the paradox at the heart of existence, proving that the more we try to nail down the truth, the more it slips through our fingers in a beautiful, infinite loop. For a look at the psychological strangeness of the universe, we have The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks. By looking at people whose brains have glitched in specific ways, Sacks proves that our entire personality and our perception of the world are incredibly fragile. He describes people who can't recognize faces, people who have lost the concept of left, and people who live in a permanent present because they can't form new memories. This book makes you realize that your reality is just a thin, flickering projection held together by a few pounds of gray matter. If a tiny blood vessel in your brain bursts, your universe changes forever. It's a sobering look at the hardware of the soul, proving that the world we inhabit is entirely dependent on the health of our biology. It makes the idea of an objective world feel like a distant dream. If we want to look at the cosmic scale of the strange, we turn to The End of Everything, Astrophysically Speaking by Katie Mack. Mack explores the 5 different ways the universe could eventually conclude, from the Big Crunch to the vacuum decay. The vacuum decay theory is particularly unsettling. It suggests that at any moment, a bubble of a different kind of space could form anywhere in the universe and expand at the speed of light, incinerating everything in its path instantly. There would be no warning. The laws of physics would simply cease to exist. This book makes the permanence of our world seem like a joke. It proves that we are living on a geological and cosmic cliff edge. It is a brilliant, funny, and terrifying look at the expiration date of reality itself. We also have to consider the evolutionary strangeness found in I Contain Multitudes by Ed Yong. Yong reveals that you are not an individual. You are an ecosystem. Trillions of microbes live in and on your body, and they are not just hitchhikers. They influence your immune system, your weight, and even your moods. They communicate with your brain through the vagus nerve. This book proves that the me you think you are is actually a we. It challenges the scientific concept of autonomy. If your cravings are actually produced by bacteria in your gut that want to be fed, then who is really making the decisions? It's a book that turns the human body into a shared territory, proving that the self is a crowded, multi-species collaboration. Now, let's look at a book that challenges our history of the universe. The Dawn of Everything by David Graeber and David Wengrow. This book uses new archaeological data to show that ancient human societies were far more complex and creative than we ever imagined. It proves that the ladder of progress, the idea that we moved from primitive to civilized, is a total myth. Ancient people experimented with all kinds of social structures, choosing to be egalitarian one season and hierarchical the next. This book makes scientists question the inevitability of our current world. It suggests that human nature is far more flexible and strange than we've been led to believe. It's a book that rehabilitates the ancient mind, proving that our ancestors weren't simple. They were political actors who were just as sophisticated as we are. In the world of alternative realities, we have Flatland by Edwin Abbott. Although it was written in 1884, it remains the best gateway book for understanding higher dimensions. It tells the story of a square living in a two-dimensional world who is visited by a sphere from the third dimension. To the square, the sphere looks like a circle that magically changes size. The book proves that we are dimensionally blind. Just as the square can't imagine up, we can't imagine the fourth or fifth dimensions that modern string theory says are all around us. It's a mathematical proof of our own perceptual prison. It suggests that the strange things we see in the universe might just be the shadows of objects moving in dimensions we aren't equipped to see. Speaking of shadows, let's look at Helgoland by Carlo Rovelli. In this book, he explores the relational interpretation of quantum mechanics. He argues that things do not have properties, like color, position, or speed, in and of themselves. Instead, they only have these properties relative to other things. If a particle isn't interacting with anything, it literally has no state. This book proves that the universe is not a collection of objects, but a web of interactions. It is a process, not a place. This is a fundamental challenge to the materialist view of science. It suggests that reality is a cooperative event. This makes the universe feel like a digital simulation where the assets aren't loaded until the player enters the room. We also have the anthropic mystery found in Just 6 Numbers by Martin Rees. Rees identifies 6 mathematical constants that are so perfectly tuned for life that if they were off by even a fraction of a percentage, the universe would be a dark, empty void. This book proves that we are living in a golden ticket universe. It leads many scientists to the multiverse theory out of sheer logical necessity. If there aren't infinite other failed universes, then the luck required for our existence is so high it feels impossible. It's a book that takes the science of the big picture and turns it into a mystery that borders on the religious. The complexity of the universe is further explored in Chaos by James Gleick. This book proves that the order we see in nature, like the shape of a snowflake or the path of a hurricane, is actually born out of chaos. It introduced the butterfly effect, showing how tiny changes can lead to massive, unpredictable results. This book made scientists realize that linear science, the kind where you can predict the future with an equation, only applies to a tiny fraction of the world. Most of the universe is non-linear and fundamentally unpredictable. It proves that chaos is not disorder. It is a higher form of organization that we are only just beginning to understand. Looking at the dark side of the cosmos, we have The 4% Universe by Richard Panik. Panik explains that everything we see, every star, planet, and galaxy, makes up only 4% of the universe. The other 96% is dark matter and dark energy, things that we can't see, touch, or measure directly. Yet they are the glue and the driver of the cosmos. This book is a massive humble pie for science. It proves that after centuries of looking at the sky, we have only been looking at the foam on the top of the ocean. The real universe is invisible to us. It's a dark kingdom that we are just beginning to map, proving that the strange is actually the majority. What about the future of the universe? In The Fabric of Reality, David Deutsch proposes that we are moving toward a theory of everything that will unite quantum mechanics, evolution, and computation. He argues that knowledge is a fundamental physical force. This book proves that the mind is not just an accidental byproduct of biology, but a key player in the structure of the multiverse. It suggests that by understanding the universe, we are actually changing it. It's a bold, techno-optimistic view that makes the universe feel like a vast project that we are just beginning to participate in. If we want to understand the social strangeness of the universe, we turn to Against Method by Paul Feyerabend. Feyerabend was a philosopher of science who argued that there is no scientific method. He proved that the great breakthroughs in history, like the work of Galileo, happened by breaking the rules, using propaganda, and being illogical. This book makes scientists question the purity of their own discipline. It suggests that truth is a messy, human construction. It proves that anarchy is the true engine of discovery. It's a book that invites us to be playful and irregular in our search for the strange. The communication of the universe is also explored in Entangled by Amir Axel. This book is about quantum entanglement, the phenomenon where two particles can be linked so that whatever happens to one happens to the other, even if they are on opposite sides of the galaxy. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance. This book proves that the universe is locked together in a way that defies locality. It suggests that space is not a barrier. It proves that at the fundamental level, the universe is a single unified entity. We are all entangled with the stars. Why are these books so strange? Because we evolved on a middle-scale world. We evolved to deal with objects that we can pick up, speeds we can run at, and times we can measure with a heartbeat. We didn't evolve to see the quantum world or the cosmic scale. These books are the translations of a reality that is far outside our biological comfort zone. They prove that the normal world is the anomaly. The strange world is the reality. When you read these books, your brain starts to stretch. You begin to see the user interface of your life. You look at your kitchen table and see the quantum bits. You look at the clock and see the thermodynamic illusion. You look in the mirror and see the microbial multitude. This visual shift is what science is really about. It's not about facts, it's about perspectives. The stranger than we can handle part comes from the ego. We want to be the center of a solid world. We want to be unique individuals in a predictable time. These books tell us that we are interconnected ripples in a mathematical program existing in an infinite foam. That is a lot for a middle-scale primate to process. But it's also beautiful. It means that we are part of something so vast and so complex that the mystery will never run out. These authors, the Hoffmans, the Lanzas, the Ravellis, are the explorers of the 21st century. They aren't looking for new continents, they are looking for new realities. They are the ones brave enough to look at the math and follow it wherever it leads, even if it leads to a place where time and matter don't exist. Their books are the field guides to the abyss. By reading these books, we are participating in the next step of human evolution. We are learning how to think in a universe that doesn't make sense. We are learning how to be comfortable with the unknown. We are learning that the truth is not a destination, but a process of uncovering. So, the next time you look at that normal room around you, remember the icons on the desktop. Remember the calculations happening in the atoms. Remember the other bubbles, just a higher dimension away. And most importantly, remember the lamb that is also a lion, the self that is also a multitude. The universe is stranger than you can handle, but it's also more magnificent than you can imagine. The hidden reality is waiting for you between the covers of these books. They are the keys to the forbidden knowledge of our age. They are the mirrors that show us who we truly are. Not passive observers, but active creators of a relational cosmos. The strange is not something to be feared. It is something to be celebrated. Thank you for joining us on this tour of the mind-shattering library of the universe. There are so many more strange loops to find, so many more user interfaces to peek behind, and so many more entangled stories to tell. Keep reading, keep stretching your brain, and never be afraid of the book that makes you say, "This can't be real." Because in a universe as strange as ours, the impossible is usually just the next fact waiting to be proven. Stay curious, Stay entangled, and always remember that the truth is out there, just waiting for the right reader to find it. The dawn of everything is happening right now, in every quantum interaction and in every turn of the page. Enjoy the ride through the multiverse.